Hey there guys, it's Metro, and this weekend I've been feverishly trying to get footage for Weather 2.0. That brought me to AQ20, which has a guaranteed sandstorm effect after you engage the last boss, and I noticed something very bizarre about the bosses in AQ20, which you're going to see on screen now. So this video is going to be about the announced changes coming from Ornyx, Community Manager Ornyx, talking about the loot changes coming with Battle for Azeroth. We're going to discuss something that's clearly not working as intended. Also show you guys a little bit about how it works. So we're going to be looking at classic raids in this one, and this is going to be quite peculiar, especially with AQ20 being lumped in this, but all classic raid bosses appear to be dropping 5 pieces of loot. That's pretty cool, especially if you're looking for Transmog. And hopefully you guys have heard about these changes thus far. It was announced back in February 21st, actually the post was made. But you're going to notice something very peculiar. Still having the lag, by the way, on the alpha in old content. So I can't do much about that. But anyway, yeah, the very interesting loot changes. I'm going to actually read out the bulletin points for you, and then we'll talk a little bit about it. But as you see, one of the four things stated there is not actually working properly. So one way or the other, they say they agree that Transmog should not be made worse for farming like it was with the personal loot changes in patch 7.3.5. So in patch 8.0, you're going to have a rework of this, and obviously this is going to be a good thing. So number one, the number of items dropped by all bosses will be the same as it would have been if you were in a full party. So if you're in a 5-player dungeon, you'll get 5 players worth of loot. This is pretty good. Obviously, this is a Molten Core run, and you're supposed to... I mean, you never were ever getting 5 pieces of loot from these bosses. So I guess for Classic, they just kind of made it... I'm not really sure what the formula is here, but, you know, it is technically a 40-man raid. So I don't know. It's interesting. Number 2, for raids with a flexible size, such as Raid Finder, this will act as though there were 20 players in the raid. So that means, like, you know, you're supposed to, for example, in some raid, you might get 1 piece of loot per 5 or whatever, and then every 5 you get another piece, etc. So that means no matter what, there's always going to be 20 people counted for that clear that you've just done. Number 3, this one is the one that's in question here. All items on the loot table will have a chance to drop, not just the ones that are designated for your spec. So that's not working, obviously. So the reason I made the video, and I wanted to show this off anyway, eventually, but the reason it sparked me to make the video tonight was I did AQ20, as you saw in the very beginning of the clip there, and we get to a boss that drops 5 pieces of the exact same item. This is actually going to happen again with Major Domo, and it took me a little bit to realize why this was happening. The reason it's happening is because off Major Domo, and then for my Druid on the first boss in AQ20, there's only one item. It's only one item that can drop. So actually, these iron rings, pretty good tanking ring back in the day, but obviously useless now. Can't be transmogged. Those rings are completely useless, but they drop off like 6 of the bosses in here, basically. So I have a bag full of them by the time I'm completed MC. Now, it's possible that this was intentionally changed, so you do only get them for your loot spec. Hopefully you guys have watched the previous soloing video I made about soloing being a lot harder. And even in here, you'll see I'm not one-shotting the mobs. That's a whole different topic. But it is believable to me that they would want you to only be getting items that you can possibly get. Or, you know, it's believable to think that they want you to just be able to get everything like you used to. But obviously, I don't... Now, you guys will have to tell me this. I'm not an MC. Like, I don't really farm Transmog and stuff. So previously with the old loot rules, did you get 5 pieces of loot when you did this content? I don't know. You guys will have to answer that question for me, because I don't really know if that's the case. But one way or the other, I don't know how to feel about this, because if you're getting spammed with 5 rings, obviously that sucks. But on the other hand, getting 5 pieces of gear that you can actually use for Transmog, it's really nice. Like I would prefer this. I think getting 5 pieces of loot that I can actually Transmog sounds better, right? So it's kind of a hit or miss thing. It does say though that, once again, the blue post says all items on loot table will have a chance to drop. So that's not currently happening. I don't know. They might have made a change since then. And finally, if you have multiple players in the group, the loot you'll be awarded will split among players, but be tradable. For example, if you're clearing with 1 other player and kill a boss that should drop 4 items, you'll each be able to pick up 2 of the items and then trade them between each other. So theoretically, you know, if other people came into this MC, 5 pieces would still drop. I would get 3. Another person would get 2. Presumably, they would get cloth if they were clothy. I would get plate if I was a Death Knight. and we would be able to trade the gear. But of course, I don't want cloth. So this is actually a good thing for me as a Death Knight. I do want all the plate gear. Anything that I can equip, I would be able to transmog. And thus, it's actually a really nice change. But I don't think it's intended. I'm not really sure. Anyway, I just wanted to make this video because it really struck me as odd, especially when you see 5 pieces of identical loot and have a bag filled of rings. You see how many rings I have? But anyway, thanks for watching. Let me know down below about MC Loot. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one.